Water, our most precious natural resource. On December 16, 1974, President Gerald Ford signed the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act, marking the first time a national program of regulations and standards was established to include all public water suppliers in the United States. Walter Mondale, who would later become the Vice President of the United States, was a U.S. Senator when the act was passed.
The 74 Act helped get people's attention, and a lot more progress was made as a result. So we were able to, I would say, fundamentally reform the role of the national government as a protector of the environment and working, of course, with the states and the local governments to get it done. As we used to say, water and air don't respect state boundaries. So the states, Minnesota was probably, again, the best in the country, but many states were not doing a good job. Americans couldn't be sure of safe drinking water. And the 74 Act that we passed was designed to use the power of the federal government to provide leadership and funding to help states do the job.
What I had to decide is, where am I going to stand on these questions? And I laid this principle that with air and water, that is national. And you don't worry about your home area as though you're doing something just for them. You're doing something for a good part of the nation if you work in the air and water part of it, because water travels across state lines. And to leave it to each state, then how horrible it would be if Minnesota, for instance, would not have pure water, and it flows in 3 different areas from the state. And so that's our responsibility as citizens of this nation.
Minnesota was fortunate that it had strong regulations in place well before the Safe Drinking Water Act passed. In 1872, a typhoid fever outbreak linked to impure drinking water created an urgency to establish the State Board of Health, now the Minnesota Department of Health. Throughout the 20th century, Minnesota has expanded its efforts and programs to ensure safe water.
The partnership that the Minnesota Department of Health has with the communities that they're monitoring is really a positive partnership in Minnesota that I think is a little bit unique. So working with the community water supplies to conform to the safe and adhere to the Safe Drinking Water Act is really just a strengthening in the partnership for all the residents of Minnesota. You know, not only for, the residents that live there, and having that source of supply as development comes and industries come, being able to supply drinking water to them and at the quantities they need to be efficient and effective in their business is really important. And it's important to understand the infrastructure that's needed to bring that to you. Again, the treatment plants, all the pipes underground, the people that are maintaining and supporting those. The Safe Drinking Water Act, actually in 1996, the amendments to the act put in some framework such as the Drinking Water Revolving Fund, recognizing the need for ongoing funding to make sure that we can treat and deliver safe drinking water. That also put into provisions for source water protection, so communities understand the sources, and then also operator training and operator certification, recognizing the professionals that are needed to deliver safe drinking water.
To be able to go into anybody's home, turn on the tap, get that cold water out there, have a drink of water, and not worry about it. Yeah, and so I love it, because people come here and visit, and then they want to drink of water, and I say, they grab a glass out of the cupboard, and they open the tap in the kitchen and drink it. I said, they have confidence, not in me, but in this whole community.
Safe drinking water is almost the first requirement of a prosperous community. If you have questions, serious questions about safe water, clean water, people are going to do something about that. And it could be a small town, so it could ruin it. You start with that.
Everyone plays a role in guarding the safety of our water and making sure investments are made to keep it that way. Small but significant actions by individuals can and do result in massive collective gains. While the federal act continues to evolve, Minnesota has made progress in its own ways.
It's a really seminal time, 50 years since the passage of the Safe Drinking Water Act. A lot of infrastructure is in that 40 to 50-year-old range. So a community water system, public water systems are looking at what it takes to reinvest in that infrastructure. But you can't just renew what's put in place while you're doing it. You need to be proactive and look ahead and to see what needs to be protective of public health for the next 50 years. The science is progressing. We're learning more and more about what things are in the water. We have the laboratory methods that can actually test things at lower and lower concentrations. What we need is that continued research to understand what that means to human health. And the Safe Drinking Water Act set in place the framework to create those standards, to understand that you need science-based health standards that then can be applied to all the water systems in the United States to make that assurances. So people understanding the science behind how these regulations and how these standards are put in place is really important as we continue to learn more about what's in our water and what makes sense for public health.